Hello boys and girls, this is Uncle George coming to you again with a late look at... Star Wars Outlaws. What a piece of shit it turned out to be. If you haven't played it yet, it's garbage. Don't waste your time and money if you haven't already and spend it on something else, like a game where you kill bugs. Or another game where you kill bugs. If you played any other Ubisoft game, you've played this one, but you don't need me to tell you that. Alright, you heard all you need from me, I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. No? I should say more? Fine, let's get on with it. What the fuck? Let me tell you a story. Back in the good old times of ironclad communism, when you had just enough money to choose between a loaf of bread or a bottle of vodka, I found myself going through the black market of my long-forgotten coal mining town deep in the ass end of Bulgaria in search for some of those fabled western movies to enjoy while getting hammered by moonshine made out of potatoes and gasoline. Now these were all bootlegged VHS cassettes with photocopied black and white covers, and this is the one that caught my attention immediately. I mean, to me it depicted a very disappointed monkey staring at a dude strangling a horrifically disfigured clown under a UFO, while more to the right, a frightened guy is putting some gizmo on his nose. Let me know in the comments if you can see this the way I did. The movie itself, however, was not what I expected from aforementioned cover. I was looking forward to that clown strangling. Instead I got a movie about a dude that really needed his asthma checked and being angry about his balls being blown to bits or something. Okay, I'll trim down the sarcasm. Long story short, I've become a fan. I watched the rest of the movies and the prequels, and to this day I have a Darth Vader cap in my closet whom I greet every day before heading into the mines. Zdrowie Vader. Between the original trilogy and the prequels, the games were flooding in, and I must say we have been spoiled. Jedi Knight games, Rogue Squadron, Knights of the Old Republic, Force Unleashed, Star Wars Racer, Republic Commando, Lego? Despite not having any new mainland movies, the Star Wars universe and lore grew ever bigger with books, stories, fan fictions, etc. Life was good for a Star Wars fan, and then something happened.
Today, I am proud to announce the Walt Disney Company is acquiring Lucasfilm.
Movie fans have been digesting the news that Disney is buying Lucasfilm, the company behind the Star Wars franchise, for just over $4 billion.
The Walt Disney Company is buying Lucasfilm Limited, the company behind the Star Wars franchise, for $4 billion.
And this gives Disney infinite inspiration and opportunities to continue the epic Star Wars saga.
Love Disney movies. Always had a fondness for Disney.
All right, now get out there and make me some goddamn money!
Apparently, Mickey had a stiffy for Star Wars and was ready to splash some cash to have it all for himself to fuck. Like many other longtime fellow enthusiasts, I was a bit skeptical and worried about the direction future Star Wars would take. I mean, this was the brave new Disney that was falling head first into a modern take on entertainment, more focused on delivering social talking points and concentrating far too heavily on the message than actual good story pieces or memorable characters. Needless to say, I was completely wrong. Despite the new trilogy starting a little bit on the weak side, trying its best to introduce a new main character every 20 minutes, the overall reception was cautiously optimistic. This was followed by Rogue One, which again was a decent piece of Star Wars entertainment. From that point, it would take another year for the second movie of the new trilogy to arrive, and boy was it worth the wait. The bastard child of Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson, titled The Last Jedi, quickly proved itself to be the absolute pinnacle of the entire Star Wars cinematography. A movie so good in fact that by the halfway point, me and a couple of me minor mates reached the understanding of all that exists and decided to leave the cinema then and there, knowing full well that perfection has been achieved and that we would never witness anything better than that. Being completely mesmerized by The Last Jedi, neither have I watched the final movie of the new trilogy nor any subsequent TV shows and spin-offs. I was aware of their existence and reception, but for me, The Last Jedi has fundamentally solidified an opinion that watching any new Star Wars from Disney from that point onward would be an exercise in futility, aka a massive fucking waste of time. On the gaming side of things, the franchise did not fare any better. Firstly, much of the Star Wars license has been held with an iron grip by everyone's favorite game publisher, EA. Secondly, the aforementioned publisher did not know what to do with the license either. I know this changed recently a bit with the release of the excellent Fallen Order and its sequel Survival, which in my humble opinion was not as good as—
Shut your fucking mouth! No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
Well, Back then, there were only the underwhelming Battlefront games, the first one being touted as a significant downgrade of the OG Battlefront, and the second responsible for the creation of the most hated comment in Reddit history. There was also a slew of mobile games, but no one played those, I think. It was like a breath of fresh air when the news broke that another studio would be allowed to take a shot at making a Star Wars game. Unfortunately for everybody involved, that studio was Ubisoft.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The overarching sentiment towards the news was best summarized by the Reddit comment by Niti De Niro. On one hand, people were happy to get more Star Wars games, but on the other, Ubisoft already had a reputation for delivering formulaic, boring games riddled with repetitive activities and unending collectathons. Couple that with Ubisoft fatigue, where every game across all their different franchises feels exactly the same, and you might arrive at the answer where I spent the last 6 minutes avoiding talking about the fucking thing. Can't delay it any longer though, can I? So, how bad is it? The game starts with a very disappointed looking fellow named Sliro Barsha, who proceeds to sit down and start complaining like a little bitch on how hungry he is and how he never got to eat.
You know, my brother was heir to the family fortune. He's gone now. Do you remind me of him? He always came first, even at dinner. If he'd finished his meal, he'd just take my plate. All I could do was watch him chew, go hungry.
What is the point of this?
What was supposed to be a meeting of the representatives of the underworld turns out to be a revenge killing for feeling hungry.
Partners, weren't you listening? I'm starving. It's time to eat.
Meanwhile, conveniently in the same town, we meet our protagonist Kay Vess, a woman smuggler with a face so unredeemable that she actually has to work for her money. To no one's surprise, she is broke, living in an attic of a local cantina. With nothing to her name except big ambitions and a face that looks like she took one too many hyperspace jumps while outside the airlock, she goes out on a grand adventure to pay her rent.
Bad luck. I'm out of marks, I'm broke, and I live in an attic.
Before the data spike.
I'm good.
You heard it, she's good.
Then I'll put it towards your rent.
I said I'm good, Bram.
On said adventure, she's accompanied by a depressed Shih Tzu-like toy-selling prop called Nyx, although it does a good job of distracting you from Kay's filthy mug. Kay's plan for pulling herself out of the gutter is to steal from the local nightclub boss.
We're close. The identicard is in the boss's office.
During the heist, Kay, cunning and roguery shine through like a race-put engine, to the exhaust of which Kate's face must have been way too close at some point in history. But I digress. Behold, cunning.
What can I get you? A way into your boss's office? I owe Wen some money. Want to make sure she gets it. Not gonna happen. Hey, so, I'm Kay, and you're gonna let me through.
You're not on the list.
Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level?
Hey, you know anybody who owns a T-85?
Yeah, that's my ride.
Nice speeder. Some scrub rats are outside trying to jack it.
What? Get out of my way. No one scraps my Jobin. It's over 9,000!
Here they are. Oh, come on, Preben. Your plans didn't have a pressure switch.
It's K-Bass!
And just like modeling Kay's face, the plan turned out to be shit. Completely botching the job, Kay murders herself out of the nightclub, which causes the local syndicate to get just a little bit annoyed. They start ripping at the town, and you asshole including the cantina Kay squats in. But that's fine, I guess, because Kay doesn't want to talk about it.
Bram, I don't want to talk about it.
You thought you could just walk in there and steal the most valuable scan docs in Kanto. I told you, Kay. 6 kin will have your head.
Hey, Ren! We know you're here. Let's make this easy.
Upon learning of Kay's failure and taking a blaster shot to the leg for her, the guy arrives at the conclusion that the best thing to do right now is to give Kay and her ugly face an even harder job, aka robbing the hungry dude's pantry.
This is a new crew. High risk. Whatever it takes, you finish this job. Score alone is enough to buy you a damn shuttle-off world.
She then goes out and meets the crew, which are totally not Rebel Alliance, and by the way, I love how these veteran fighters are so terrified of Kay's face that their auto response is just ignored in hopes of it going away on its own.
Where are you from?
Holy Jesus! What is that?
The merry gang then proceeds to infiltrate the hungry man's mansion bunker thing.
Well, we wanted a shot at the big scores. This is it.
Oh yeah, because you managed the small score so well. And it all seems to go according to plan more or less, until they get into the vault in question. Instead of riches, they find a guy who I presume was kept there by the hungry fellow for his future culinary needs.
Use a hand here.
I did everything right. The code was good. Sarah, did you find it?
No.
Not content with how the situation's evolving, Kay's face decides to make a stand right there and there, for which she gets promptly blasted down.
Just pay me.
We're the Rebel Alliance.
No way!
We don't have time for this.
Danny, wait!
I mean, being with that thing in such an enclosed space can melt even the toughest fighter's spirits, I guess. We are then treated to a retrospective so cringe that I'm not even going to waste my breath discussing it. All I'm going to say is that the moral of the story is expect nothing from no one, and fair enough. I mean, with a face like that, fair enough. Kay wakes up to face the hungry dude who is evidently less than pleased that yet another dinner has escaped him. Fortunately, he is as smart as Kay is pretty, and gets played
Like a bitch!
ending up locked in his own vault, again without dinner it would seem. She then proceeds to murder the entire hangar of people before stealing a ship and fucking off to a random planet.
To Shara. I'll take anywhere.
From this point onward, you can ignore the rest of the plot since you are thrusted into the Ubisoft open world TM, which you will never ever 100% clear, thus you will never ever see the conclusion to this fucking thing. It's a fucking Ubisoft game. I won't lie, watching the early footage made me excited, but then I remembered who was making the game and specifically a little known controversy relating to the previous project, but gee, for the life of me I can't remember what that controversy was about. Some kind of discrepancy between what was shown and what was finally delivered? Anyway, I'm sure it was nothing important in the end. Taking into consideration Ubisoft's stellar record of releasing feature-complete, bug-free and fully optimized games in the past, I decided to crank this baby as high as it can go. In my mind I could already visualize the beautiful and smooth experience that was awaiting me.
Huh?
Get the water!
I was certain that my overpriced GPU, coupled with an overpriced and now melting CPU, would be able to handle this, but it seems I was mistaken. Oh no, wait, it's the grass. The grass is causing it. Few days after the game's premiere, somebody released a fix that changed how the grass was rendered, and now it ran just fine while looking exactly the same. Well done, Ubisoft. Completely honest, although the game is nothing special when looking at it up close, it absolutely can look stunning under the right circumstances. The vistas in the background, the sunsets, the vast open biomes with all their unique terrain and flora, the bustling narrow streets of towns, the vast space you get to explore, and yes, there's finally a smooth transition between planetside and space. Take that, Todd! you muppet. All of this can look exceptional and gorgeous, contrary to Kay's face, which at best of times looks like it had a horrible ironing accident. This, combined with decent music and well-designed sound effects, helps to build a unique yet very familiar Star Wars atmosphere. I can't believe I'm about to say it, but this truly does feel like it's Star Wars. Even better, this feels more Star Wars than what Kathleen can shit out these days, and for me personally, it feels more Star Wars than a certain other game I might have mentioned before.
Shut it!
However, you can only be enticed by pretty visuals and nice sounds for so long, and unfortunately, past those, this game has not much more to offer. So, without further ado... Let me start you off with a question. Have you ever played Assassin's Creed? Or maybe Watch Dogs? Or how about Far Cry? If you did, then you basically played Outlaws. As mentioned previously, the game is so painfully Ubisoft that you could probably accurately imagine the gameplay without even touching the game. It also follows a typical Ubisoft enjoyment curve where it starts off very promising, showing new game mechanics quite frequently and keeping the narrative tight and focused, to then quickly devolve after a couple of hours to a slop where the narrative takes the backseat and you are thrusted into an often too big open world, where every move you make contributes to another diarrhea of pointless icons appearing on your map. You quickly realize that the mechanics you've seen at the start will now be overused ad nauseum in order to waste your time doing pointless collectathons. And if you're like me, and you have a monkey brain that goes haywire if you leave something uncollected, well, you're in for a long, pointless, repetitive grind, my friend. You also get a selection of Ubisoft-mandated minigames because, well, of course you do. This time, these will consist of a few arcade games, and although I do appreciate the nice touch of including them, they are a bit on the shit side. You'll probably forget they're there after a try or two. Next, we have
Fautier Racing.
It's just a horse race betting and it's quite fun for the first 50 times. Oh, and you also can get info on fixed races, which is a nice touch. We arrive at Castle Sabak, a sort of retarded version of poker mixed with Uno. You start with 2 cards and the goal is to have a lower pair of cards by the end of the round. You pay chips to get a chance at swapping your cards and you lose and win them back if your pair is lower than your opponent's. You also get a selection of trinkets that have a range of ways to fuck up your opponent's day. I hear this is a simplified version of Sabak, which is actually a game people do enjoy. Glancing through the page and the rules, it seems more interesting than the bogged down version we have here, but I never played it. On its own, there's nothing inherently wrong with those minigames, however, this is all you get for the 60 hours it takes to 100% the game. In case of Sabak especially, the simplified rules combined with long rounds make it an absolute chore to play over and over again. The minute-to-minute gameplay also closely follows the tired and tested Ubisoft formula. You go to a point on the map and you do one of 3 things. Number 1. Collect some pointless thing. Number 2. Get angry because you can't collect the pointless thing yet, therefore you just wasted a trip and now you'll have to make a mental note to come back here at some later point in time. Number 3. Initiate what I like to call a Ubisoft camp moment. What is a Ubisoft camp moment? Well, it's either a pointless collectible in the middle of a bandit camp itself that needs clearing, or a tower or other map revealing point that is being guarded. It really doesn't matter, but what matters is all too familiar game loop you're about to embark on, i.e. stealth as much as possible and when you inevitably fail, open fire until the camp is clear. Collect the thing, make the fucking marker go away, go to the next one, rinse and repeat. This is what most of the side missions and the main missions will consist of, and it is the case in most Ubisoft games, let's be real. Again, it gets really old really fucking quickly. What was supposed to be the differentiating factor here was the reputation system. Basically, you have 3 rival syndicates. Doing favors for one will increase your standing with that faction but may damage the reputation with others. Be on their good side and you get access to areas they control, some unique goodies and better paid missions. Be on their bad side however and they will attack you with varying levels of intensity. On paper, it's a fun little feature, however, in reality it can be easily exploited and even worse, in the end it does not even fucking matter. And why it doesn't fucking matter? Well, because you can completely ignore it and just spam story missions instead. Anything you do for the syndicates really doesn't matter, it doesn't change the outcome of the game and it doesn't change any of the progress story missions. And even if you do decide to max out every faction, the contract missions boil down to the same tired Ubisoft format I was just talking about. So yeah, no matter if you are in town, out and about, or in space, you will be doing the same thing over and over again, until you lose your will to live, or just, shut the fucker down and play something else instead. fuck me with a probe droid. This game can be perfectly summarized by Kay's face. Looking briefly from the distance, it seems like a decent Star Wars game. It has the atmosphere, lets us play as a scoundrel, which does not happen all that often, has land and space combat, and overall fits well into the Star Wars universe. However, the closer you get and the more time you spend looking, a completely different image begins to emerge. Bloated, boring and disjointed, this game solidifies the Ubisoft formula that has been stale 10 years ago, and yet it's still being revived for each and every new entry. The deeper you go, the more resentful, disillusioned and disappointed you become. Just like Kay's face, the game becomes a parody of itself, and when you're done with it, you realize neither the journey nor the destination was worth it. And it's painful to see, because despite everything, I was looking forward to a Star Wars game not made by... Anyway, it seems that the wait will continue for now. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and shout out to the creators whose clips were used in this video. Hope to see you in the next one. I'll catch you later.